Hi guys, hope you guys are doing good today. Today's video is going to be about my Splendour Wren series. I did 3 different drawings of 3 different splendid fairy wrens. So all I'm going to do today is take you through what I did with each of them. I'm not going to focus so much on exactly how I draw, but more about what I've done different compared to other drawings on each one, or what I've done different compared to the other 2 drawings. So I do not have all 3 of the originals with me at the moment because they are at the scanners, so I'm going to try and use my laptop and just hope for the best. I positioned it in a way that it's not too reflective, so hopefully this will work and you'll still get the idea. So the first blue wren I did, oh, and before I forget, my reference photos for all 3 of them are from a photographer called Craig Zilko. He is amazing. His photographs are just incredible. I don't know. Those lenses that these photographers use are like unreal. The point is that he's given me permission to use his photos in my drawings. So he's taken a couple of these splendid fairy wrens, and I decided to take 3 of them and draw them because they were all just so beautiful and I thought they'd look pretty good as a set. So this is the first one, and I named it The Onward Stare of the Blue Fairy Wren. No, The Onward Stare of the Fairy Wren. The reason I called it that is because the main thing that I noticed with this bird is its intense stare. Staring into the future like it knows how to conquer it. These birds are only like this small. So, anyways, I don't know if you can see. Let me zoom in. Zoom in. That eye is so tiny. Teeny, teeny, tiny. But that stare is intense. It's like, it's ready. So, anyways, what I've done with this one is I used my Prismacolor Premier pencils and my Faber-Castell's Polychromos pencils, and like I do with all my drawings, I blend using Art Spectrum's Eau de Solvent, which is this stuff right here. This stuff is really good. It doesn't stink you out of the room and give you headaches and make you feel like you're gonna go insane. This doesn't, I don't smell it at all. If you actually sniff the bottle, of course you will smell something, but if you just have it next to you, it's okay. It doesn't stink out the room and I don't notice it at all. And I have the other stuff that has an odor, and I couldn't work for it for long because I would just get major headaches. So at least with this stuff I don't. And it seems like it's, yeah, I don't know, it's just not as toxic, and I like it, and it works good. It works very good in the drawing. So I have it in a little container, in another container with a cloth so that I can dab any excess straight onto the cloth. So yes, that's what I use to blend. I have very weak wrists, so I do not burnish. I would rather just blend and layer and blend and layer. So that's what I did. I started off with the really dark areas over here. Can you see that? Over here, started off with the dark areas. And then I just kept working my way down. So I would just, there's so many colors, so I just layer and layer softly. You never have to press hard. Never press hard. And if you can help yourself and just press softly and keep layering, the more realistic it will get, because the more layers and the more colors and everything you add, the more value you get, and the more variation in color you get as well. So it helps with making things more realistic if that's what you aim to do. So yes, with these cute little bum feathers, excuse me, I just made really sure that my pencil points were super sharp. I used my polychromos pencils for those ones because my polychromos pencils can get a much sharper point than my Prismacolor pencils can, and it holds that point really good. The Prismacolors, they tend to break if you get the point too sharp. You can't really keep it that sharp. So if you need to do something really fine and detailed, you use your oil-based pencils because they just have a harder point. So that's what I did over here. And then for these white highlighted bits over here, you can see they're pretty white, those highlights over there and over there. I used a Jelly Roll pen, so one of these guys. It's called Jelly Roll from Japan, and yeah, it's just a little pen like that with a white gel. I don't know if it's acrylic gel or something, but it kind of feels like it. It's not as intense as using whiteout, so that's good. It's got more of a, I don't know, it almost feels like it could be acrylic paint in a pen form. So that's what I used to highlight that. The reason why I highlighted that way is because I had already done so many layers that I couldn't really get my white to highlight enough, my white pencil to highlight enough over it. It would make it lighter, but it wouldn't make it white. So I just used that. Another method of highlighting is you can use a Stanley knife, or you can use an electric eraser. So I have one like this. It's a Sakura electric eraser, and it has a 2 little AAA batteries in there. And yeah, to sharpen the point, I just use sandpaper. Not a very coarse sandpaper, just like a medium coarse, if that makes any sense. Sandpaper, and then I just hold it at an angle until it has a sharp point. And then yes, so then you would hold that point directly down on your paper, like straight down, so you only get that fine point on the paper, and then you can erase that away. So if you haven't layered too much or blended too much, then the electric eraser is pretty good at getting that color off, but sometimes it's just not enough. So yeah, I just used the Jelly Roll pen. Okay. I use black. This is black. The eye is black. I have the tiniest dip in the eye with the Jelly Roll pen, but everything else, well, not everything else, but these ones are black, and then I use the indigo blue over it to give it the blue kind of hue. I am not afraid of using black. Black is like my favorite pencil. I use it all the time. It just adds all the depth and value, but I always put other colors on top of it or under it as well, and it does bring, those colors do come through, especially on paper. The colors come through. So it is black, and it's got indigo blue on it. It's barely noticeable. It looks like black, but that's okay because it looks fine. It looks real. It doesn't look flat. That's the main reason a lot of artists will tell you to try and avoid using black, because it's easy to make things look very flat. But in this case, I think it looks okay. It doesn't look flat. It looks pretty three-dimensional to me. So yeah, so I've only used black there, a little bit in the beak and the eye, and then just to really get those dark, fine bits under the feathers. Otherwise, the rest of it I would have used indigo blue, which is, it's very dark blue, quite close to using black. You could actually get away with using indigo blue instead of black ever if you wanted to, but I do like using the black. For the branches, nothing special with them. It's so easy to do branches because you can just wing it, really. You don't have to add the detail like you see in a photograph or anything, because it's really easy to make it look real and textured. So all you have to do is take note of where the dark areas are and where the light areas are, and the rest you can just go for it, because and kind of work out what kind of texture you want. So the kind of texture I wanted in this one is I just wanted it to look like there were sort of like cracks in there, and at the bottom it was dark, and then at the top it was light, and then in those like cracks you've got the darker shades. So you have, when you're doing cracks or when you're doing something that kind of needs to look three-dimensional, do the dark shadow and always put like a highlight on top, or make it really light on top. So over here it's really dark at the bottom and it's really light on top, and it gives the illusion of it being a chip in the wood, so it looks three-dimensional. So that's it, and then I just added some green to kind of make it a little mossy, and that's about all I've done for this bird. And yeah, the rest is just layering and blending and layering and blending and layering and blending. Simple as that. The next one, this one's my favorite out of the set. This one I named A Twig for a Blue Fairy. It's so cute and round, and I want to say furry even though it's feathery. It looks like fur. It really looks like hair. And then, but yeah, I just love the round plumpness of this bird. I think that's why. And I love the twig that it's on. It's like a reddish purplish kind of twig. It's not the green kind, and yeah, it just looks so pretty. And then what I did with this one, and I'm so happy that I did it, because I just did not know how I was going to get all these, I don't know if you can you see all these tiny little hairs to look so fine. See, they are so tiny. So what I did is I used this. This is just an etching tool. At your local arts and crafts shop you should be able to get a set of these. All kinds of, they got different kinds of ends on them, and yeah, so they're usually for clay or sculpturing things. So I just used this one with a really sharp end, and before I put any color to paper I scratched out all those fine little feathers, everything, all of it, and it just, yes, it just gives that texture. And look how fine those are. Like, all those hairs are so tiny and fine. My pencil points don't even get that sharp, and even if they did, when I blend, it would kind of just smooth it all over and the texture wouldn't quite be there. So if you want a really hairy texture, before you put any color down, go ahead and etch it out with one of these, because when you put color over it, the color doesn't go in all the dents of the paper. So it just gives that texture, and it just makes it look so soft and hairy, feathery and real, and it just, yeah, so that's what I did. And then once I did that, it was easy to just go over with all my grays and purples and blues and whatever other colors I used. And then it all just, it didn't go in those tiny white bits, so it just made it a lot easier. Be careful though, when you blend, when you blend something like that and you want those hairs to stick out, do not have your brush too wet. Make sure you get all that excess solvent off, because the blending with the solvent can put the color in those cracks. So just be careful that you don't use too much solvent when you blend, and that way those hairs would stay like that. So yeah, I want to touch screen but it's not gonna work. Yep, so I don't know if this is a female one, because the colors are so much lighter than the other two, which are like a really bright purple and blue. This one was a lot lighter, so maybe it's a female, or maybe it's certain seasons or something. I actually have no idea. Should probably have a look at that. What else did I do different? Oh, the twig. Everything the same, just layer with your pencils, and then I also used the white Jelly Roll pen for some of these white highlighted bits on the twig. And that's about it for that one. And then finally, the last one of the series is this one. I had a few friends give me some suggestions for names for this one, and my favorite one was Inquisitive Splendor. So that's what this one is called. It does look a little bit inquisitive, doesn't it? It looks so cute. And this is the brightest one out of the lot. And I think I finished this one faster than the others. I didn't really need to use any different kind of technique. But one thing I would say though is that this is where you can see where the values are so important, because you have the darker shade under the little beak, and you have the dark here, in here, but in between you have a lot of highlighted bits. So always remember that when there is something that's really shadowed, pretty much right on top of it is going to be really light. So that's what's happened over here. It's really, really dark under these feathers over here, and then you have highlighted bits on the top, and that just creates depth and value. And then look how fairy and fluffy he looks. It really works when you do it that way. So where you have dark bits in here, there's likely to be highlighted bits on the top, especially when you're dealing with fur or feathers. Especially when you're dealing with fur. Feathers, I don't know, but in this case, yes. Yeah, it will work the same in feathers. Actually, it works the same in just about anything. I'm just babbling. Okay, and it's got some nice turquoise in the wing, turquoisey greeny colors, and the rest is quite blue and purple. Another thing I did different on this one that I haven't done on the others is for these like really white bits over here. And this is good for snow or for like flaky things, but I used a standing knife because I'd layered so many colors that I couldn't get any of the white out on it. So the white coming out of it to make it look highlighted. So I used the standing knife and gently scraped away like the tiniest bit of the top layer of paper to get a bit of the underlayer exposed to make it white. Be very, very careful when you do that, because it's so easy to go through your paper. Not so much with the Arches watercolor paper because the paper's pretty thick, but it's all, with that paper it's easy to kind of grab a big piece and then you pull it and you have a tear right in the middle of your drawing. So be careful, be very, very careful. Do take your time and be very, very gentle with that point, and just gradually take away the color on the top layer of paper until you get those little pieces sticking out. Excuse me. That's all. This branch was really easy. You'll see in the video that it's pretty easy. You don't have to go through the details and stuff. As long as you know the textures, you know where the dark bits are, you know where the light bits are, you can really just do it. You can just go for it, and it will turn into a textured branch. That's a very, very bad explanation of how to do a branch. But all I did is I just took the sides of my pencils pretty much, and I knew which colors I wanted to use, so I made sure I didn't use too much of the same color in a whole area, and I kind of just mixed them all together next to each other. I had a lot of browns, and next to it I'd have the greens, and next to it I'd have the, like, I don't know, the, what color, like other kind of greeny browns, like, yeah, greeny browns. And then so it's dark at the bottom here and light on the top, and then the mossy green bits also just add a bit of texture and color, so it looks really pretty. So that's how I went about doing my Splendour Wren series. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below, and for now that would be all. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.